Hey, what's going on, everybody? Gonna wait for a bunch of people to hop on. Super excited that you guys are here with me. Starting this a little early today, and I want to share my screen. This way we can get right to it. Slide. So let's see. There we go. All right, it's 3 o'clock. We're gonna start exactly when we said. And basically, I want to show everybody how to bulletproof your business. All right. If you guys have questions, please feel free, pop them in chat at any given time, and I will get to them at the end. This is very important because this is going to be a tremendous opportunity. All right. So what do I mean by, back up, what do I mean by a tremendous opportunity? I think we are going to go through one of the most challenging periods in history, right? Think 2008. I think that because of what's going on with rates, what's going on with the economy, what's happened with the supply chain, with how much money we've printed, and then a bunch of other factors that are super detailed and not really built for this, right? But with all this opportunity, I mean, with all this chaos and with all these challenging environments, the businesses that get through this have the greatest opportunity to gain market share and really set themselves up in a meaningful way to build a legacy and to really serve their communities. So that's why I'm excited about this, and that's why I wanted to put this on to show everybody what they need to be doing over the next 6 to 24 months to put themselves in the best position possible to absolutely crush it in their business. So how do you build your fortress? Okay, what's going to be the most important factors moving forward? 1, having cash on hand. 2, having access to more cash. And I'm sure I would be asked the question, well, if I have cash, why do I need access to cash? Well, in case the cash that you have is not enough, right? It's always good. Every business should have access to cash. And then what are some of the things that you have to do? Well, your credit. Credit is going to be huge because the businesses that are around and the people that are around are going to be fighting for a limited amount of credit. I mean, a limited amount of borrowing power, right? So if you are not putting yourself in the best position with your personal and your business credit, it's going to be very hard as money tightens, right? The money supply tightens to get the financing you need to grow. And then you need to work on your relationships with vendors, with partners, with suppliers, okay? In these hard times, relationships are more important than ever. All right, so like I said, if anybody has any questions about these things, please pop up and I'll be happy to answer them live. Now, what's going to be the winning formula? What is going to make it so you guys thrive through this tough and challenging economic time? First off, it's going to be increasing revenue, decreasing costs. I know that sounds so basic, right? But so many people understand that, less people apply that and do that, okay? Next, acquire more clients. And you want to be able to acquire your clients as cheaply and cost effectively as possible, okay? Next, you want to create more valuable clients. How do you do that? You want to, 1, drive more value to your clients. Why? Because when somebody feels like they have been taken care of, when you go above and beyond for your clients, what happens is they want to continue to work with you, number one, and number two, they want to talk about that experience. And having happy clients is the best marketing you could do. All right. So that is number one. Take care of the clients that you have. And then number two, see what else they need. See what else you could help them with. These are all things that are going to be vital moving forward. All right. And then next, decrease expenses. I cannot tell you how many people come into us for a review and their expenses are all out of whack. What are some of the things that you should focus on? How do you decrease expenses? The most detailed, the easiest way is to shop certain things that you're using every day that you need. Like what? Insurance. We see massive savings in payment processing. All right. Sometimes up to 90%, depending on how you want to set everything up. Insurance, payment processing, any types of services that you use, suppliers, vendors, okay? Those are all big things that are important. And how else can you decrease expenses? Well, if you know you need certain amounts of inventory, if you buy that inventory in bulk, you can save another 5, 10, maybe even 20%, all right? And then last but not least, you need to actually track what the business's expenses have been over the last, let's say, 3 or 6 months. Figure out if there's subscriptions that you don't need. Figure out, if you're overspending in certain areas. See if you're spending places that are not bringing in a return. All right, and I would cut almost anything that isn't producing a return on capital. All right, next. Very, very, very important. Be wisely aggressive. What does it mean? It means you shouldn't be playing defense, right? You shouldn't be status quo and hope it passes over. All right. You want to look for opportunities, look for acquisitions, look for things that make sense. Branch out and make sure you have 3, 4, 5 different great lead sources. Okay. Figure out how you can improve your business by focusing on growth. All right. A big thing that I have personally done very, very well with Integrated is building partnerships. Okay. We look for people that serve our same client base. Okay. If you're serving our client base and our core values match, our core values are aligned, meaning you're actually serving them. Okay. And you're honest and you present yourself with integrity and you go above and beyond. Those are people that I personally want to partner with. All right. So what does that mean? I build these partnerships and I create win-win-win situations. It's one of our core values. And so what that does is I look for a win for my partner, a win for the client, and a win for us. Okay. And we consistently, month over month over month, continuously build new partnerships. And that helps drive business in at a much lower cost. All right. Become client centric. All right. And create raving fans. These go hand in hand. All right. If you are constantly under promising and over delivering, if you are constantly making sure that your clients have a great experience, even if you can't help them, even if it's just pointing them in the right direction, okay, even if it's just a tiny bit of education to help them get to that next level, all right, what that does is it creates somebody that wants to work with you now and in the future, all right? That is super, super important. And that will help you create raving fans. And raving fans will always be your best marketing strategy ever. All right. Because people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And people want to work with people that have had great experiences with, who recommended them. These are all super important things that not enough businesses focus on. And in hard times, when you are fighting, okay, for whatever discretionary income your clients have, this is super important. Now, how are some of the ways you can increase revenues? I want to break this down. Okay, referrals. Building out referrals from your clients is massive. So one of the things that we do is we send a handwritten note to anyone that works with us, and we also give them 2 cards with a QR code and a gift. And in this, we thank them, we give them a gift, and then we send them these cards. And these cards uh, offer a certain service that we do to introduce people to our platform. And then what happens is they give that card to one of their friends or someone they know that owns a business, and they opt in to work with us. Right. So essentially, for every client that does that, we're turning one client into potentially 3 or more. All right. Next, relationships. If you can create really great relationships with your referral partners, okay, that is going to help you drive a ton of business. And I know I keep harping on this, but I keep harping on it because it's arguably the most important thing, one of the most important things you can do in hard times and in good times. All right. So you need to figure out who serves similar clients. How can you get in touch with them? How can you add value to what they do? Okay. And make it so it's a win for everybody all around. And if you can do that, you can grow your business exponentially while keeping your costs down. Okay. So many people miss that, right? If you are spending $100,000 a month to acquire clients, and those clients only bring in 100,000, that's a break even, and you're probably going to be losing money by the time you have to pay whoever is originating that business, meaning your salesperson. So by setting up these relationships and offering a referral fee, or sending clients back to them, that is going to allow you to scale at a much faster, quicker pace. All right. Next, education and events. If you are a local business, you should be throwing community events. Okay. If you are not a local business, and like us, we're a national business, you can throw educational events. These educational events are just like this, right? You're helping your potential client base, and by helping them, at some point, you may be able to work with them. Super important. Okay. Super, super important. Or you could throw events and invite everybody in and have a couple speakers, make it a networking event. And that is a great way to generate business. Next, content. Content is something that is free to make, or as close to free as possible. And by you putting yourself out there on a daily basis, your company out there on a daily basis, you will be able to draw a lot more clients if you are giving them valuable content. If it's just work with me, work with me, work with me, that's never going to work. Okay. You're going to get very little traction. But if you are helping them, educating them, solving their challenges, solving their problems, and relating that back to what you do, well, that's very, very consumable. Okay. And what you want to make sure is your content educates, entertains, and gets engagement. If you can master those 3 things on every piece of content you put out, all right, you can grow exponentially. All right. And then last, increase the value of each customer. How do you increase the value? Well, 1, make sure that they have a very positive interaction with you. 2, see what else you can do to help them. How else can you serve them? I'll give you guys a great example. We are primarily, first and foremost, a lending company. All right. However, and I'm just giving you personal examples, and hopefully it can spark something that you can use. We do primarily finance. What we noticed was a lot of our clients were coming in and they were paying way too much and had bad payment processing setups. So instead of letting them carry on and having those bad setups, we decided we were going to add that to our offering. And now when somebody comes in and they get a review from us and a strategy session, without them knowing, we automatically see what can be done and how much we could save them, and if there's a better solution we can provide. And in the process of us going through the financing steps and helping them with that, we also can offer that as well. And that typically really helps because it shows that you care. All right. And then the other thing we do is we do coaching. All right. Because we see businesses make the same mistakes with how they run their business, how they get their financing, And so we offer a super cheap, super affordable coaching program that provides the content for people to grow their businesses. All right. And if they work with us, great. If not, it's there and it's going to help them. That's one of the things we stand behind is we are there to help small business owners. So by us putting out that content at a much lower cost than most other companies would charge, or most any coach would charge, all right, that helps us bring in clients in the future. Okay. So those are some ideas on how you can increase revenue. Focus around those 5 things, and I just gave you our examples. Right, so referrals, we went through this. Find people who serve a similar client base, develop a referral relationship with them to create a win-win-win. Make it a consistent habit. What do I mean when I say make it a consistent habit? Well, if you're doing it once and leaving it alone, it's not going to work. Okay, you need to carve out, let's say, 3 hours a week or more to do this. Well, how do you do that? Well, you first identify who you can work with, and then you either call them, email them, you text them, you send them a mail piece. Okay, anything you can do to open that relationship and lead with value. And if you're making it a consistent habit, what'll happen is you'll bring on enough referral partners where it'll make sense. Okay, and then, like I said, create client-centric. Create such a great experience for your clients that they're surprised and all they want to do is be your raving fan and talk about how well everything went and how much you helped them. Okay, relationships. Who serves a similar client base? What associations can you join to get in front of them? All right, so think about it like this. If you're a local business, okay, what are the local groups that you can get into to network with other business owners? That's key. If you're a national business, figure out who has a similar type of client. So I'll give you an example. For us, credit repair companies are great partners. Accountants and bookkeepers are great partners. Believe it or not, attorneys are great partners for us. Those are all the people that we look to partner with. Anyone that sells merchant services, great partner for us. Any coach or business consultant, great partner for us. And then, you know, what makes it an equitable, okay, relationship? You know, how can we help them? Is it just a referral fee? Is it us sending them clients that need help? Figure that out and drive that point home. All right, like I said, education events. Nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to be educated. Okay, by setting yourself apart and having that education piece, people should know that you care. People want to work with you. All right, and it is the foundation of building a long-term relationship. All right, you have to be valuable though. If you're not, if you're just having some type of educational or event and it doesn't serve the clients or it doesn't serve your prospects, it will not help. Okay, and one of the things I've seen, any type of in-person event is always a little bit more meaningful because you're actually get to shake hands and meet with people face to face. Okay, virtual events are great when you have a lot of people, but if you can do a virtual, if you can make that an in-person event, it's always going to be a little bit more meaningful. All right, we touched on content, but I'm going to go over these bullet points because they're important. It's an evergreen strategy. What do I mean by evergreen? Well, if I create content on a weekly basis, I'll tell you guys how I do it. You know, I spend 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday crafting videos, writing blogs, putting it into a shared folder, getting it edited, and then having my team distribute it. And then I distribute it and I post it on YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine, second most powerful search engine in the world. So when it goes on there, and it does take time to build, it never leaves unless I delete it. So that people can always search, people can always point to that. All right. But you have to be consistent in any of these things that you do. All right. Live speaking engagements are great too. All right. I do a bunch of those a year and they always open a lot of doors for me. All right. But consistent content will lead to a compounding impact or effect. Right. If you are not consistent, if you're not doing it every day, If you're doing it for, let's say, 2 days and then the rest is, you're just running the business, it's not going to work. It has to be consistent. And it has to be the right content. All right. Now, let's go through how to increase the value of each customer. What else do they need? What else can you add? What do they need help with? Okay. What services or products can you offer them that align with your company? All right. If you can maximize the value of each client, everything falls into place, right? Because let's just say you don't have a lot of referral relationships, right? And your average client, the lifetime value of each client is $1,000, which means you can spend up to $1,000 to acquire one. You probably want to spend a little bit less, like 500 or less, to acquire them. But if you can figure out a way to make that average lifetime value from 1,000 to 5,000, that means you can start spending more and outcompete your competitors. Okay. Can you add a subscription model or subscription base to your business? Right? Is it a review? Is it a strategy session? Is it some level of coaching? Is it, what can you do that can consistently bring in revenue? All right. So like credit repair, I know a lot of credit repair companies that want to charge monthly instead of per deletion. And they're charging for the education and the coaching and the consulting. Content and education, we've been through a lot. And then, what is your customer journey, customer experience like? Like, what does that value ladder look like? So on the low end, we have free stuff, we have coaching. Okay, on the high end, we have private capital raises that are 10 million plus, right? So for us, it's how do we help our clients grow from just starting out to, all right, I'm ready to get 15 million. That's a pretty cool journey if you could take somebody on that experience. All right, decreasing costs. Let's get into this. All right, how do you run a cost analysis? Well, without going crazy or without getting some type of software, you need to go back into your credit cards and your banks, either 3 months or 6 months. If you do 6 months, you get a better idea of how everything's going to play out, and you're going to get a wider net, okay, of transaction. And you want to write down all the expenses. What was on food? Where was the food? Was it necessary? How much you're paying for certain services, certain subscriptions, certain inventory. All right. And you need to track all that. And what the idea is, first off, you want to track it and put it into buckets. The bucket should be what stays, what gets eliminated, what can be reduced. All right. What do I mean? Well, there's certain things that your business absolutely needs. Like you need your utilities, you need your phone, you need your computers, you need your lights, okay? You need your office. There's no wiggle room, right? What can get shopped? Insurance, payment processing, a couple other items, okay? Any subscriptions you don't use, cancel. And then you want to see what's the miscellaneous things that you spend on, okay? Because if you're aware of it, you can change the habit. If you're not aware of it, you're going to be in a challenging situation. There's cost segregation companies that this is all they do, right? And then what they do is they shop for you, right? They shop different suppliers and vendors for you. One of the ways to do it, like we talked about, is purchase inventory at bulk. That can usually get you some savings. Okay. It's great to be able to cut away a lot of expenses. You need to figure out what you're using, what you're not using. All right. And what I would tell you is as you're starting out, I would get into the habit right now of cutting any expenses that aren't producing a return. Okay. Like marketing should produce a return. For every dollar, you're going to bring in $3 or $4 or $5. You don't cut that. All right. But you do cut things that, you may or may not be using or you may or may not be needed in the business. Right. These are super critical tasks that you need to accomplish. And it is a pain. It's a little painstaking, but you know what? Doing this will be the difference between you thriving and struggling. All right. These are the common places to look. We went over this. How do you spend wisely, right? I would spend on the client experience, right? We spend and probably an average of $50 a client just to say thank you. That's on the low end. Okay. Um, Make sure that you're reviewing your marketing campaigns. So it's okay to test multiple different campaigns. In fact, you should. But the ones that are break even, I would get rid of. I would be focusing my dollars wisely on what is producing the highest return. Okay. What's another thing that adds to your team? Well, employees. If you bring on more people to your staff that are producers, okay, and eliminate some of the people that are not producing, you're in a much better position. All right. Um, One of the mistakes I see constantly, okay, is people that are buying equipment don't use cash, use equipment finance, pay for it over a longer period of time. Yes, it's going to cost a little bit more, but you're building comparable debt, which will help you get more equipment in the future. And you have a write off, right? You can write off the interest. Or if you lease it, if you do it or lease to own, you can write off the full payment, right? Don't use cash, especially when you know we're going into a tighter environment. All right. Now, how do you have cash on hand? These are all the things, these are all the tools that you start off in the beginning. The easiest way to get cash on hand, and a lot of cash on hand with longer terms, is an SBA loan, right? Right now, there's a quick SBA loan that we have, takes 3 weeks, goes off of top line revenue, not profit margin. So as long as you have 700 credit, 2 years of tax returns, and you did 500,000 in the prior year's returns, you should be able to qualify for up to 150,000. All right. Next, you could get a term loan, a personal loan that just goes off of your credit and your provable income. This is a good way to fill up the reserves. Okay. Now, how do you have access to cash? Okay. Getting access to cash, it should be easy, right? It's getting a line of credit. They usually get approved in 24 to 48 hours. All right. And it's helpful because it'll help you to take advantage of any opportunities you have and God forbid, any emergencies, right? Something comes up where you weren't expecting an unexpected expense. You could go draw on the line of credit. All right. It's much easier to have a line of credit set up and you put a little balance on it and then you have the rest sitting there that's ready to go. And something happens versus something happened and then you have to go and try and get a line of credit because a lot of times once that event has happened, your credit might be weaker, your cash flow is definitely going to be weaker. All right. And you're probably not going to be able to get the same type of line of credit. So I would focus on locking that in now as opposed to, if it's an emergency. All right. And lines of credit are for short-term uses. Anything like inventory, marketing, supplies, adding to your team, anything that you have to do on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. All right. And the best time to apply is when you don't need it because you're going to score out much, much higher. All right. I'm going to stop here and see if you have any questions. No questions? Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure nobody has any questions. Okay. Now, how to put yourself in the best position for this stuff. These are the 4 fundability factors, right? Four pillars of business financing, not fundability factors. It's credit. Have very strong personal credit. All right. You don't want to go into any type of situation where you need to borrow money and not have strong credit. So have strong personal credit and have strong business credit, right? Both of those things do matter. Next, your time in business. This is something that, the longer you've been in business, the less risky you are to lend to. The only way you can control it is if you were thinking about switching entities. I would say don't. You can change the name, but keep the entity, keep the business tax ID. Super, super helpful. All right. Next, cash flow. This is something that people do not understand. Cash flow is so important. It's the lifeblood of a business. So when you are operating your business, you want as many deposits as possible. You want to show consistent or increasing cash flow. And you want to show that you keep enough money in the bank to cover any unnecessary things. Having negative days or bounce payments really hurts when you go to apply for lending. Not that it can't get done, but the programs that you'll be qualified for will change. So what I would advise is always keep between 5 and 10% of your monthly sales average or revenue average in the bank at all times. That means if you're doing $100,000 a month, keep between 5,000 and 10,000 in the bank at all times. If you're doing $1 million a month, try to keep between 50 and 100,000 in the bank at all times. And then profitability, right? This is a big one, especially when it comes for most SBA loans, equipment finance, or any larger transaction, like above 250,000. Nobody really wants to pay taxes, but you need to show a profit. If you can show a profit, you're much easier to lend to. All right. What I suggest, and an inside tip that I give everybody, is for every $45,000 in profit on your tax returns, you can qualify for $350,000 over 10 years with the SBA. SBA is the gold standard for loans for businesses. All right. So what are the next steps? What should you do? One, if you want to join our coaching program, please reach out, join our coaching program. We'd love to have you. We go through a lot of stuff. We have experts in marketing, credit, business credit and personal credit, payment processing, and accounting. We have somebody, and these are not coaches. These are people that run successful 7, 8, 9-figure businesses in those that are helping small business owners like you. All right. It's only $197 a month. And if you need any help with any lending, you can reach out to me at any time. All right. If you guys have questions, please reach out. We are here to help, and we want to put you in the best position to thrive through the next 6 to 24 months. Appreciate you guys.